Welcome. Good evening, folks. Come on, we'll give it a minute or two. Let everybody join. We have an incredibly special lovely members with Ellie, Leonard, and Brian Krassenstein with the Krassenstein brothers. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Tomorrow, it's
Yeah.
you guys are incredible. I love all of you. So actually, while we're waiting for some more people to join, just give you a quick update. My daughter's what's it called, recital went great. We got her lots of flowers. She was all excited, so that was great. So, but anyway, we got a lot of things to discuss.
Yeah.
We got two incredible people with us here. These two individuals are some of the best Epstein diggers, or I don't even know what's going to be like titles. Like I don't understand.
Don't
You guys,
know.
I don't know what this like. I mean, we have. There's a community that's been built that basically is right now digging through, and I think like Ellie, I go back to like what Ellie's told me one time. She goes, the biggest mistake the DOJ did is that. By the way, Brian, you're a little dark, just in case if you want to know.
Yeah, I'm just playing with my lighting. Sorry about
All right. I just like to give you a heads up if you want to. But Ellie said to me, she goes, you know what they messed up one time is that they didn't anticipate that so many millions of people are going to have their eyeballs on all the stuff. And now we're seeing it play out. So I want to hand it over to you guys because why don't you just give us like the latest that both of you are looking into, and then we could discuss some of the stuff that's happening. You want to go first, Ellie?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we were talking last night about some of this Barry Weiss stuff and her wife, Nellie Bowles, who just so happens to be in the files and was working for the New York Times, and that kind of odd and very quickly chummy relationship the two of them had. Epstein often says, like, are you bringing your babe over today? And that's in reference to Barry Weiss, who just fired somebody for being in the Epstein files, which is a fun little, you know, turn of events. And then that Nellie was like brought to Epstein by a woman named Masha Drakova, and Masha Drakova is the subject of a film called Putin's Kiss because she was the head of like I don't know what you want to call it. It's like the Putin version of the Hitler Youth. I mean, I don't know what else to call it, but like there's like the Putin Youth. She was the head of it. Obviously, very pro Putin, worked for Putin for a long time, and then she came over to the US and became Epstein's PR person, which is a very strange and, probably likely connection. And then she started bringing in people like Nellie Bowles and Barry Weiss and people like that. And then just this week, I mean, sort of in proximity to the files, something that I found very interesting was Melinda Gates is starting to talk, which is something that she hasn't done, obviously, up to this point. We thought, I think a couple of years ago, we probably thought their divorce was very amicable and it was just time for them. But now I'm not so sure that that's the case. She's now, I think, feeling a little bit more power to come forward and say why. And you see this in a lot of the like the emails between Epstein and people like Bannon and other people where they all complained about Melinda Gates. They all hated her because she refused to let her husband come to these events, which he did anyway. But like she was a big, she told him she didn't want him coming. She didn't want him anywhere near Epstein. She didn't trust him. She knew his history. Like she did what we're all supposed to be doing and what we all question why they didn't do. And so she has now started speaking to NPR, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, no, I tell you, I listened to her voice, watching her face, and I felt the pain. You could tell the pain that she was, and her even saying it, like reliving it, and seeing her relive it, I could almost like feel. Can you imagine what the survivors are reliving the pain because she had to do it? Brian, I mean, I know you've been completely in the major, like not only discovering this stuff, but going at it with MAGA on every level. I mean, you're having even issues. They're trying to ban you. Elon Musk himself came out and said he's gonna ban you. What happened? You guys were buddies.
So that was like 2 weeks ago, like about 10 10 days ago that Elon threatened to ban me. He said he was going to investigate whether I broke any laws, and he had his team investigating it. But like going back now and thinking about it, it makes me wonder, like, did Elon expect all this stuff to come out and he was just in a really bad mood? And I think that's probably what it was. He probably got wind that, the files are going to drop and he's in them. I'm sure he did. And I think he was just in a crappy mood that day. And it caused him to do that. But I've been looking, especially the last like 3 days, into some of these files that the media is not reporting on. And we've been able to pull up a lot of interesting things with Trump, with Don Jr. And I saw your son covered some of that today as well. So it appears that literally, I think it was like 20 days before Trump was inaugurated. It would have been 16 days before Trump was inaugurated in 2017. Epstein was talking about going to Palm Beach, where Mar-a-Lago is, on the 4th of January of 2017, and meeting with he wrote, all of the Trump boys, fun. So this means that he was meeting with either Trump, his family, or maybe he calls Trump's associates Trump boys. I don't know. But that's what was happening. That's what Jeffrey Epstein was planning to do just 16 days before Trump was going to be president. And to remember, Trump says he cut all ties with Jeffrey Epstein in like 2004, was it, or 2003? Well before 2009 when he was indicted. So that was really interesting. And then today, Ed pulled up the fact that Don Jr., apparently Epstein was trying to set up a meeting with Donald Trump Jr. as late as 2019, which would have been just months before Epstein was arrested, if I'm correct there, with the timeline. So what happened with that was that Epstein's, and I just pull this up so I can read word for word. Epstein wrote, I'm back in New York the 15th through the 14th through the 15th, and this is January of 2019, so the beginning of 2019. And he said, can we do coffee with Don Jr. Thursday or Friday? Only if easy, as you know, I like people that are funny. And we don't know if this meeting took place. We don't know.
Who was the email to? Does it black out the email?
Andrew Farkas.
Andrew Farkas. He's in a lot of emails.
Yes. So I mean, did they meet? And what Andrew said is, I won't be there. Let me send you some dates. So I mean,
well, again, can we say did they meet? They might have not met, but the fact that like Epstein's having this conversation with somebody, this is not something you would just make. I mean, like, this is not like, oh, I'm going to pretend that I'm going to meet with Don Jr. just in case somebody reads my emails. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, this is him. If he met or he did meet, the fact that he was talking about it and planning it. Go ahead.
This was so I just Googled really quick his death date, Epstein's death date, and it was August of 2019. So this was 8 months. This was Don Jr. was supposedly, this email was sent. What was it? June? Did I say June of 2019? So
it's a month before he's arrested. Like a few weeks.
Well, yeah. And I'm glad you guys are mentioning it, because I've been starting to watch a pattern, right? That not only is he trying to meet up with Junior, but he was having extensive conversations with Bannon.
Oh yeah,
right before,
he was talking to Bannon as he was being arrested at the airport.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is because, well, what was he saying to Bannon, and what was Bannon saying to Barr? What was?
Hey, Lev, really quick, I just want to correct something.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It was January of 2019.
Okay.
So it was still 8 months before he was.
Right.
Yeah,
correct. January. January. So and that's very important, because you said January of 2019 is when Bill Barr comes into office. Bill Barr comes in January, February, right around there, and that is when he's handed my case. Bill Barr has handed that case. He's handed the Epstein case, and he's handed another 2 cases that Bill Barr was personally involved with as soon as he takes office, because he came into the Mueller, and the most important case is Bill Barr was because of, my case was because of I was associated with the president and Rudy Giuliani, and we were in Ukraine. Epstein was obviously, as we could see now, there was Bill Barr's name, I guess, is in the Epstein file. Isn't his name
Yeah,
also
I forget what it
mentioned
was
that
for, but his name was definitely mentioned. Yeah.
like somebody accused him again of something, or being somewhere where something. But the fact that these people see, and this is the interesting part where a lot of people don't realize also, is Donald Trump never saw what was in the Epstein files until Pam Bondi gave it to him. So what? So when he was, that's why when Donald Trump had no idea, but Bill Barr knew. Bill Barr knew that Donald Trump was in the Epstein files. Bill Barr knew all of that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ellie.
I was just gonna say, like, he's got a great reputation for reading nothing ever. Can you imagine telling him there's 3.5 million files with his name in it? Like, he's not gonna look at it. He's gonna be like, I need someone to do that for me, or like scan it, or do like. There's no way he's ever like. He doesn't have any emails in this file because he doesn't email anybody. Like, he doesn't really email or know how to text. Like, he's just not, outside of apparently like posting on Twitter, he's not a very techie guy. And so my guess is he doesn't know how to open these files. He doesn't know how to scan through the files. He has people to do that for him. And those people have to approach him, and they're probably all scared to death of him. And they have to be like, sir, you're in this file 56,000 times. Like, I wouldn't want to be that person.
Yeah, and like you pointed out, Steve Bannon, like if you read some of those messages between Bannon, the text, like how can anybody like support Bannon at this point? Like he should be ostracized. Like he has his podcast, his whatever, his show. Like the fact that he still gets viewership after everything that you can see in these files, it's just disgusting.
He was Epstein's best friend.
And Trump doesn't mention it. Trump says that, but think of what Trump says. Trump said Wolf is another character, but Trump says that Wolf wanted to take him down, not Bannon. He doesn't talk about that Bannon was with him. That he doesn't talk about that Epstein is asking Mark if Bannon's speaking to the Russians, if he's given.
Right. Well, it's a weird dynamic because they're friends for like 2 years, literally, again, texting all day, all night, very weird times of day. Until the moment that Epstein lands at Teterboro and he says everything's canceled. And that's like the last email, and Bannon's like, what are you talking about? And then it's radio silence. They had this weird kind of transition in their relationship where at first Bannon was aspiring to be part of Epstein's life because he thought that he was involved with the CIA or intelligence. And that's all Bannon wanted. He wanted to go back to the White House and he wanted to work for the CIA. So he thought that he could go through Epstein and have greatness and be welcomed back. But then over the course of these 2 years, Epstein starts to become more isolated. He knows he's under surveillance. He begins to live vicariously through Bannon, who now becomes this like global traveler and world speaker, and he's speaking to world leaders everywhere. And Epstein is telling him, you need to ask this guy to do this. This is how you talk to this guy. And he's living vicariously through Bannon, and Bannon becomes like the holder of the power in the relationship. And meanwhile, the whole time, Epstein really wants this documentary to be made because he wants his reputation to be cleaned. Bannon, I think, is there for that same reason, because it's a very, very weird conversations. But ultimately, like in those last few moments, they were planning like going to the island and filming more footage and more interviews, and then and making plans to go back to Paris, and then everything just ended.
What doesn't make sense to me is, though, like, why would Bannon, why would Epstein choose Bannon to make the documentary? Because this is what keeps, I keep replaying it, because Bannon is a far right extremist platform. It's like Alex Jones.
He was switching though. Like, he was very democratic. And as, he hated Trump. But as this whole process came where Trump became like MAGA and he became very like billionaire focused and corporation focused, Epstein was starting to waver. And had he stayed alive and had he not gone into jail, my guess is he would have been one of those guys on the stage at the inauguration. Like, he was starting to talk about, he very often shared the news and shared links and, whatever, and mailed it out to all his buddies. And when things like Charlotte happened, or things like Black Lives Matter happened, or whatever, actually not Black Lives Matter because that was after, but just like these major.
But Charlotte, yeah, he even makes a comment. I think in one of the
He's like, we gotta get over it.
with
It's not a
people on
big
both
deal.
sides,
Yeah. And like he's starting to say things that Trump was also spouting. And my guess is, had he lasted longer, he would have been a part of that movement because he saw that that's where the money was. He saw that that's where the opportunity was. It wasn't about politics. It was about, which is again with everybody, it's about money.
Yeah.
And so he would have joined up.
I think Steve Bannon is an opportunist, right? Like he's very fluid and he will adapt to whatever's best for himself, I think. And I think Epstein probably realized that like he doesn't have morals. He's not doing things based on morals. He's easy to influence. If Epstein wanted a documentary that made him look a certain way, Bannon would have catered to whatever Epstein wanted. Whereas, an actual documentary creator would have, actually told the truth. It was easier to get Bannon to kind of cater to what he wanted it to be about.
Oh, so let me give you a take on the way I see it a little bit, knowing these people really well and analyzing it. My thought is that Epstein and Trump had it out over the years. They had a very interesting relationship. Not only were they best friends, but they were frenemies also. They were in competition.
Yeah.
And their competition was not only financial and power, which Epstein always ruled over Trump. He had that. Epstein always had the more powerful relationships, money worldwide. But Trump I had that Miss Universe, Miss Teen Universe, Miss Flamboyant, and Epstein was kind of more in the weeds and the shades with the perversion and the hiding and doing the private sexual and I think and not that I think, but what we've seen through the documents and the relationships that most of their arguments came over young girls, like Trump saying he stole, my employees from, Mar-a-Lago and stuff like that. And then trying to talk about that some people try to say that they had a falling out because of the property that Trump stole that property. What I'm thinking, and from what I'm watching out and evaluating, is I think Epstein, when Trump gets into office, I think Epstein looks at Trump as a way to clean himself up. I think he was using Bannon, and the reason why he was using Bannon, and I think you're right, Ellie, 100%. And I think he was trying to get back, not into clean himself in front of the world stage, but clean himself in front of Trump, get him back in Trump's good graces, and to
Which
be
wouldn't
able
have been
to.
hard. It would not have been hard.
It would
no.
not be, no, he would have definitely been on stage, and it definitely wouldn't have been hard. Trump's problem is he never, Trump in his whole life, did not know he was being surveillanced by the Russians, by all of these. Like he was that not only was his finances being thrown and people were being put into certain places to maneuver and manipulate and compromise him, but also the lifestyle that he was living, they were living, all of them were living these, powerful, influential men that ran in the same circles in the 80s and 90s, and that, never thought that any of this would get out. Never thought. Trump never knew that Epstein sending emails between his brother or others talking about that Trump's a pervert. Trump never knew that, there's these girls actually that he assaulted and everything will go and file, later on. He never knew that these were things, and maybe he did. Maybe the power, because like, think about it. This is the one thing we're also looking in the DOJ. We have a lot of questions, and we're seeing that a lot of these tips, a lot of these 302s, a lot of these things that were taken were not followed up on. And if you take a look at back in those days, it was like a detective picking up the phone and calling, saying, well, I got this, girl in here, Mr. Trump, she's accusing you, or Mr. Trump's lawyers, he has the top lawyers on retainer. I mean, it's that intimidation. Well, of course it's not. We're not going to believe this. And that's why I think a lot of these cases just got shut down, and that's why they continued to do what they do. They continued because it was without any kind of consequences. So I think Epstein was really trying to get back into Trump's good graces through Bannon, while simultaneously, I agree with with Brian, that Bannon is an opportunist. Bannon was playing, not both sides, but all four sides. If there is all four sides, he does, playing it, and he was trying to maneuver their way. But it's interesting how you say that the last text right before he got arrested, he said, what did he say? It's all over?
He said everything's canceled.
Everything's canceled. What does that mean? Like that?
Well, they were planning on filming. I think they were planning on filming, and they kept. It started out that Bannon really wanted to make this movie. I'm guessing there were not a lot of people jumping to make that movie about Epstein. Maybe Brett Ratner was, but nobody else was. But originally it was something that Bannon was pushing, and I think toward the end, Epstein was really pushing it. And you can see in the interview, now that we have that long interview, like, you see a difference between like his home videos and that interview. He's really neurotic and nervous and like twitchy, and you look at him, you go, really? You were popular? You were like running the city? Like, how? But it's because he's very nervous, and he's trying to be believable as, this cleaned up guy. And I think even at the end, because they knew in the emails, they knew he was being surveilled. Like, they talked about it a lot. And so the people that Bannon worked with, his film team, they were working on other films, and they started to prioritize the other projects. And he kept going, oh, could we film this weekend? Could we go? Could we sit down at the island? And he's like, yeah, I got to talk to them. I think they're working on another movie. And it started to feel like he was falling off, and Epstein was going, no, don't forget about me.
Let me ask you a question. When you say he was being surveilled, do we know what the Southern District indictment was? Was that in the file? Was that in the files? Do we know what?
I don't know yet. Have you seen it?
So I haven't seen the actual indictment. There were mentions of co-conspirators from that indictment, but they're redacted, and like that's what like this whole thing was over. Let's see who the co-conspirators are, right? So why are they redacted?
Because the interesting part, because this is where what I'm saying to you, because I think this is because we all assume that he got indicted for sexual behavior, for trafficking and all of that because of his background, right? But we don't know. He could have been indicted for financial crimes.
But here's the deal. He was only indicted, like the first time, he was only indicted on 2 charges. There was only 2 charges.
Right,
so like he thought he could just post bail and like go home like he did the first time. Like he didn't think it was a big deal.
That's what I'm saying to you. Like it's strange to and then you see him in the interviews also talking about how prison, like he wasn't a guy that was like really scared of prison. Like he knew like, oh no, I knew how to deal with it. He had money. Oh, I paid the. What I'm saying to you. And then the other thing is you could definitely see. It's interesting to see his different behavior when he's giving the interview with Bannon, and when he's also giving testimony for the deposition, when he's asked that question about have you ever been with Trump and an underage girl and he's that cocky, like he's giving this deposition, you see like that Epstein, like I don't give a shit type, and then when he's with Bannon, he's like, what did you say? On
the film, but when he talks to Bannon, he's like a surfer bro. Like he has a different personality for everybody. Like he talks to like he'll talk to like legal analysts, or he'll talk to these Harvard professors, and he was talking to like a neurophysicist or something the other day. I was reading something and I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like it's clear like he read or heard just enough to hold a short email conversation with somebody, but like he's qualified for nothing. And then when you hear him talk to the people who he totally lets his guard down with, which was Bannon, it was Kathy Rumler was another one. Like he totally totally becomes this like bro. And you're just like, okay. And that's where you start to get the actual information of him. That's where he lets his guard down about Trump. Like the only thing that I've really heard him say, because he knew for most of 2018 that he was being surveilled. So a lot of times he'd be like, you know what, let's take this offline. We'll talk about this later. Not for email. He'd say that a lot, not for email. But the thing that he brought up a lot was the corruption in that house sale in Palm Beach. Was that, you know, when Trump went behind his back and bought this house for $44 million, Trump didn't have $44 million. And then he turned around and he flipped it for like 3 times as much. So he was like, that was never his money. That was the person's money that he sold it to. So like that was a corrupt deal. And then there's all this stuff about like mob ties to the electrical union with the housing and Mar-a-Lago and all this stuff. Like he was very open when he talked to Bannon about that stuff. He didn't really filter anything. Whereas other people, he gave a lot of one-word answers. You'll see a lot of one-word emails. And that means that he's not comfortable with the person. Like with Mark Epstein, you get one-word answers to most of his emails. Like he did not have a good relationship with him. But when he let his guard down, he was just like ridiculous. And then you started to hear actual information.
Yeah, here's a question for both of you guys. Do you honestly think there's no emails between him and Trump or anybody, anybody within Trump's family?
I hope there is.
I've
not seen them.
Obviously, they're not in the files, right?
Right.
But like, is that? And of course, Trump says he cut all ties with him in 2003. So I mean, that goes along with that story. But like to me, clearly that wasn't the case. I mean, you can read the emails about Don Jr. and you read the emails about him just talking about Trump. So like, where would any of those communications be? Obviously, if they exist, they're gone, right? They got rid of them.
Right. There's things that people are not questioning. That's one of them. Because like even I have the assumption, I'm like, oh, Trump doesn't email. But like if he did, would we see it? Probably not. The other thing is like, where are Trump's flight logs? Like, why are we assuming that he's carpooling everywhere? He has private planes. Like, why is nobody looking into Trump's flight logs? Why is nobody looking into any of these billionaires' flight logs? Why are we only looking into Epstein's flight logs to the island? Like, everybody had flight logs. There's a lot of stuff that nobody is asking the right questions. But again, we're still at the beginning of the files. We got 3.5 million files, but that's like the front end of the files. And the front end of the files will only condemn the people that Trump wants to condemn. And even though he's in there 56,000 times now, I don't know what the number is anymore, but like even with that, it's not going to be the worst stuff.
That number goes down every time you reload the next day, right? Like, no, I've been tracking it, and just Trump was in there like 1,800 times, just the word Trump. But the next day it was like down to like 1,599. Then now it's like 14 something. So they're getting removed. Why? I don't know. Somebody else, and I don't mean to cut you off, Lev. Somebody else that I really think we should know more about is Karina Shuliak. That's his last girlfriend, who he knew since 2012 and who was the last person to speak to him before he died, right?
And on the prison phone call. Prison phone call. So they should have it.
She got $100 million of the estate. Well, I mean, that's what the will allocated to her. Whether she's getting it or not, who knows? But she's now a dentist. I pulled up a video from just a few months ago where she was graduating from Columbia Dentistry School. So like, why? Like, she had to have known a lot of the stuff that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in. I would think, right? Like, she was very close to him.
And she had a very long, like a 20-minute phone call with him. Like, that was his last phone call. And it was over, not prison, but it was over the MCC phone line. So they have records of all the calls and they should have a transcript of that call. But so far, I've not seen it.
Yeah.
You know what's also really interesting that a lot of people are not talking about, and we're going to do a special dive in with Zev about this, and we're going to go into it. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the stuff, because I know you're connecting the dots with Trump and Trump's inner circle. The one thing we haven't seen in these dumps is any of the financial documentation. I don't know if you've noticed it. I know we still are going to be looking through this, but so far I've asked Zev, I asked Aaron, I don't know if you guys, but so far, all these financial deals that he's had between all these international, just right before his arrest, billions of dollars between Russia and all of these deals. None of this is coming out in the paperwork, as I could see. Correct? We're not seeing any of these deals.
We're seeing random weird checks. Like there's a lot of photocopies of like checks for like 150 and 350.
Right.
There is one really weird thing, and I think Zev knows more about this than I do, but there's something called, I think, the Southern Trust. And it's like a bank account, but it's offshore for sure. And it is still getting payments from his estate, like regular payments. It was set up to get like this huge amount before he died, like a whole bunch was shifted over. But now it's still receiving payments, and they don't know who the payments are going to. Like they have no idea. It's just going into the Southern Trust. They don't know who's in charge of it, which I think is stupid. They should know who's in charge of it, who's receiving it. That should be easy to track down. But it is still making large payments to this offshore bank account that he no longer runs.
You know what else is it? Oh, you know what else is interesting? You know who else's name is mentioned over 140 times in this in the Epstein files, and very interestingly, is Sergey Lavrov. Sergey Lavrov, who is of Russia? Was he not the prime minister? Was he the deputy? Or was it? What's his?
Yeah, what's his title? He's basically the head intelligence guy, right?
Yeah. He's like the head, whatever he is, Lavrov is. But I'm looking over some of these text messages that were sent to me. That one particular one here.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, just so you know.
Thank you, Minister of Foreign. So there's one. Lavrov's name also appears in Epstein's internal briefings, which, judging by the documents, were prepared by Epstein assistants. In one such briefing, the key evidence of the day was described as a meeting between Lavrov and John Kerry. Epstein's closely followed negotiations on Syria, a central issue at the time in contracts between Kerry and Lavrov amid Russia's military intervention. That's some serious stuff, folks. You also got him, talking with Lavrov in 2018, 2016.
Yeah.
You have the...
he has Putin's head girl is his PR person. Like he says he's meeting with Putin.
This is, that's the fact that you have, I think the 3.5 or 3 million that they're hiding, I think is the smoking guns that they can't just erase. I'm sure they're scrubbing, erasing. I've heard it already for months that they're trying to little bits and pieces, but I think there's just so much that they can't. That's why they're just holding it up.
There's no possible way that anybody's just like looking through these documents in the FBI.
It's just impossible.
Something I think that Pam Bondi and them probably didn't expect is that there's probably going to be multiple investigations in other, nations, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
they have the power to subpoena. They have the power to get information as well. Maybe not as easily as some people in America do, but that could be big as well. And they're not going to hold anything back if it's going to hurt America. Yeah,
I love seeing them like raiding Musk's like Paris house. You know what I mean? Like they have nothing to hold. They don't care. They're just like everybody's so pissed off at America. They're like, we will have nothing to do with the Epstein files. If you have somebody of our people, take them. Look into everything. We don't care. Like nobody in any other country is going to hide something unless they're actually a leader, which there are leaders from other countries in the files. But like, for the most part, people are just like, screw you, go look through everything, fine.
No, yeah, and I think we're going to see some countries like Poland and others that are seeing the Russian connection because, like, again, there's so much in there. You could only concentrate, and that's what I'm saying to you, because then it becomes just this crazy wild web where you can't even, connect the dots. So, you got right now we're concentrating with Trump's inner circle, and just think about it because that's the president of the United States.
Right.
But as you said, all of these other countries are now starting to see like the connections, the businesses, the interactions, their prime ministers.
I will say, you will not see an investigation from England.
No.
You will not see an investigation from Norway. You will not see one from Russia, from Israel. You will not see one from Saudi Arabia. you will not see those investigations.
Which are the main?
Yeah, so you will not see an investigation.
Guys, I just want to first of all thank you. I know it's late at night. I know you guys had the kids, but I want to thank you especially for coming out here and giving this report to our subscribers out there, folks. Before make sure right now you go to that little Chiron up there, and I want you everybody hit it. It's extremely important that you guys go follow and subscribe to Ellie and the Krassenstein brothers, because this is what true independent journalism is. These are the real people right now on the front lines of this war with the Epstein file. Not only are they spending their nights, mornings, days digging through the files to get this information, I could tell you, I could attest to it, but also they're on the front line getting heat. I mean, attacked constantly on here. So they need all the support. I stand behind them 100%. So if you can, give them a follow, a subscription, and more than yet, if you can, become paid subscribers, because the information that you're going to get from these two is not like you're going to get anywhere else. Especially, it's cheaper than a cup of coffee, folks. And a month, just think about it. 1 cup of coffee a month, and you got so much information you won't even know what to do with it. So please give them a follow. And also, we have a petition out there. You guys, this is I'm going to tell them the plan for all of you that already know what we're trying to do. It's very difficult. There's a lot of files, but every one of us is working behind the scenes with Congressman Ro Khanna, Congressman Jamie Raskin, Congresswoman Crockett, and others, and we're trying to help them be able to, this community, this independent investigating journalism teams are helping Congress right now to be able, with all our resources, to go through all these Epstein files, because on February 11th is a big day. February 11th, Pam Bondi is going to be testifying in front of Congress. And we want to be able to get not only as much preparation for them as possible, but also we want to be able to be there and face Pam Bondi with the Epstein survivors and have her face us every single moment with every single question. To do this, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. These people are doing it around the clock. Ellie, the Krassenstein brothers, my son Aaron, Zev, Dean, others, Kate Justice. These people right now are doing it nonstop for us to be able to put this package together. So if you ever thought about, if you're on the line, now's the time to give them that little extra support and make sure to become a paid subscriber, because we need them now more than ever. And the work that they're putting in, Ellie's up till 4 a.m. I could tell you, we text back and forth. I don't know how her husband, the kids, God bless them, they need the support. And Brian, I don't know what he does, because every time I speak to him, he's constantly either getting the CIA is at his house, the Secret Service is going after him, the Elon Musk is going after him. I mean, like, it's just like nonstop. And I'm saying to you, sometimes I look, I said, yeah, that's Brian again.
That's sad. That's sad. That's not me. That's sad.
Well, they play that off, Ed, Brian, it's the other one, but I love them. Yeah. So, guys, give them a follow, give them a paid subscription, and join us, stay with us, and make sure, if you can, the most important thing, sign the petition. We have over 16,000 signatures already. The petition.org is actually going to help us spread it to millions of people also. So for the next 9 days until we get into Washington, let's do whatever we can, get as many signatures as possible on there. And we're going to go to work. They're going to go work, because I wish I could have their skills. I'd be helping, but I'll help in different ways, but I'm going to support them, and let's all give them the support, the paid subscription, so they could go out there, get us this package put together, so we could go out there and, you know what, hand Pam Bondi a real Epstein file glossy, and not what she handed to all those fake lists. So, folks, have a great night. Thank you for joining us.
Very nice to meet you, Brian.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
Yeah. See you guys later.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.